What's the hardest question that anyone has ever asked you? Was it a job interview question where they asked you what animal you were most like? Or maybe it was a math equation that you had no idea how to do. The hardest question someone asked me was totally unexpected and totally took me off guard. It was in early November of 2017, and I'd gone to a new barber and getting my hair cut. And the young lady was cutting my hair, and she was doing a great job of trying to get to know maybe a new long-term client. And she was asking me questions, talking to me. What do you do? Are you married? You have kids? Yeah. How many kids do you have? And I didn't know what to say. All these different things started racing through my mind. Number one, as I'm pausing and not answering, this woman has to be thinking, how does someone not know how many kids they have? But then I thought, do I say 2? Because I lost my daughter less than a month before. Or do I say 3? And then she asks me how old they are and what they're doing, and then I have to explain and, throw this horrible thought into someone's mind. Oh, by the way, I lost a child. My name is Kelly Meredith, and I am speaking to you today because I lost my daughter, Allison, to a fentanyl overdose on October 26, 2017, 5 days after her 24th birthday. Let me tell you a little bit about Allison. She was the biggest daddy's girl when she was a toddler. We loved doing things together so much. We both had this huge love of music. One of the things we would commonly do is we would get in the car and she would take control of the radio or her phone, and she'd be playing me songs of bands that she was listening to, new music, and I would be sometimes playing songs of the stuff that I liked. And we had a couple of bands in common that we both really, really loved, the Avett Brothers and Red Hot Chili Peppers. Allison was a talker. She would get in trouble in school all through her school career for talking. And the teacher would move her, and it didn't matter because she would talk to those people too. And she was somebody that would make friends, best friends with people. People felt very connected to her very quickly. She had this way of opening herself up and them trusting her. At her funeral, there were several people that said to me with full sincerity that Allison was their best friend, and that she felt so close to her. They couldn't believe she was gone. And she just had so much life. She was someone that you knew she was there, and that is for sure. She went to get her tonsils taken out when she was 18. And she told us later that when they gave the prescription for her for pain medication for getting actually, it was her wisdom teeth when she was 18. She got her wisdom teeth taken out when she was 18. Her tonsils taken out when she was 20. But the first time she ever tried that pain medicine, she said something went off in her head, like, this is something that connects with me like nothing else I've ever felt. And then she started, I don't know all the details of the history, but she started taking pain medication until finally one day, the person she was buying these pain pills from said, why don't you take heroin? It's so much cheaper. And here is a girl that was terrified of a needle. And it went from that to this addiction being so strong in her that she would inject herself. And that just seemed impossible to me. I got a call one day that they found Allison in the car and she was not breathing, and the ambulance was there and they were taking her to the hospital. And I'm normally someone that during crisis, is very calm, cool, and collected, but I was just overwhelmed. I was trying to get dressed and leave the house, and I couldn't find anything. And I made a couple of quick calls to her brother, to my parents, and I'm in the car trying to get to the hospital, thinking that a lot of times you don't get to see a person again if you get a call like that. And I remember the phone started ringing in my car as I was driving to the hospital, and I saw who it was, and I thought, I don't want to answer this call. I don't want to find out this way that my daughter is dead. But like on the fourth ring, I finally answered it, and she was fine. They had given her Narcan, and she was completely fine. As a matter of fact, when I got to the hospital, she was kind of being a jerk. She was kind of frustrated, and she was kind of mad, and it looked like there was nothing wrong. And it took a while, actually, for it to hit her that she did almost die if someone didn't find her. And she was open to going into recovery. And that's what she did at that time. It had been several months later, and she'd been through recovery and had some setbacks, but she was at a good place, and she wanted to come home. She was so excited. This was in July of 2017, and she was so excited to come home. This is a picture of her on the plane, and she was just so excited to be coming back home to family and being with the people that loved her, realizing that the people that had been doing that tough love were really loving her. And she had an appreciation for it. And I remember I picked her up at the airport. I actually parked and went in, and she was waiting there by baggage claim, and I gave her this hug. It's like one of the most strongest, powerful hugs that I'd ever had in my life. It was a hug that I didn't know if I'd ever have again. And I can't go into the airport by that spot without almost breaking down. But it was the best hug in my life. And she was home. And she'd come home, but she was going to be at a halfway house here in Atlanta for a time. And then, and partly due to trying to work out job employment and time and scheduling with a halfway house, we felt like, and Allison definitely felt like she could come and live with us, and she did at our house. And looking back now, I don't think I appreciated how hard recovery is in that first year and how focused you have to be. But she was home, and she was doing well, it seemed, and she was planning to go back to school to get a degree in music business. And I finally came to the point of believing for the first time that maybe she is going to live, maybe she is going to get over this. On her 24th birthday, we went out, we had the greatest time, took pictures, had birthday cake. And then I remember the night before she passed away, the night of the 25th, she had been out with a friend, and she came home when I was still up. It was kind of late. It was sometime before midnight perhaps, but I was watching TV in the den, and she comes into the back door, and she comes back in. I'm eating some of her leftover birthday cake, and she comes and has some too. We have birthday cake, and we're watching TV, and we're watching some silly show, and she makes fun of it, and because it's this dad joke humor kind of thing, but she would always pester me if I told a dad joke. But it was a good little bit of time, and then I needed to go to bed, and I told her good night. I remember almost saying I love you, but I sometimes felt like I didn't want to overwhelm her by saying that too many times, so I didn't that time. The next morning, I had a chiropractor appointment I went to, and then I came home, and before going on to work that afternoon, I was trying to fold a little bit of laundry, and some of her laundry was in with ours, and so I go over to her room, and she worked in the evening a lot, so her door was closed, and I figured she was asleep. But she said she might be working today. She didn't know. And so I knock on the door, Allison, and then knocking on the door again, Allison. I knock louder, and then I start panicking. I grab the knob, and it's locked. And I just start screaming, Allison, Allison. And I first try to think about busting the door down, but I went quickly go to a drawer and grab an ink pen and take the privacy lock and open it up. And I see her lying on the bed like she's asleep, and I turn her over. And I call 911. I start doing CPR, but they say one of the stages of grief is denial. And I think I was in denial at that point because she was already gone. It was too late. But I did CPR for 10, 15 minutes until the ambulance got there. I remember before they took her away, she still looked so beautiful. And I stroked her hair and I said, Allison, what have you done? And one of the hardest things I ever did was to make those phone calls to family, to her siblings, to her mother, to my parents, to her cousin that was her best friend. And my life and our lives have never been the same. It's been over 2 years, but it's something that I will never get over. Time makes the horrible pain maybe less often, but it's something I'm always going to have. Another parent one time described it, that lost a child as an emotional disability. And I would say that's pretty accurate. All the days that are supposed to be special, Thanksgiving, Christmas, her birthday, my birthday, any family gathering, they all suck. The days leading up to it are sometimes almost more than I can bear. The 26th of every month marks time of another month that she's been gone. And I'm always aware of it. The reason I tell this is so that you can hopefully learn and know from Allison's story, from this tragedy. Hopefully something good can come out of it. And one of the goods you need to understand is that your life is so valuable. No matter where you are, no matter what you've done, no matter how you've hurt family or friends, you do not understand how valuable your life is to the people closest to you. No one is you. No one can replace you. Your life is a blessing from God, and you have something so valuable. And if you're in recovery right now, you have one job right now, and that is to recover, to work at recovery, to not feel overwhelmed by being behind in life or being stressed because you haven't achieved what you need to achieve at this time in your life, that you don't have a degree, or you don't have the job that you want, or you don't have the family that you want, whatever that situation may be. The fact that you're alive and can breathe is hope. You have one job, and that's recovery, and you can do it. And it's so hard, and you need the people around you to support you. You need to slow down and just focus on recovery. The people around you need to realize you need to just focus on recovery, that is your one and only job. Your life is so valuable and can never be replaced. When I thought about what good can come out of this tragedy, I realized that the good can be the people that actually recover, that actually come through recovery and are able to help others. I've noticed something, a characteristic about those in long-term recovery, is that they count their blessings, is that they are appreciative of the life they have. They realize how things could have been so different. their story could have ended like Allison's. And that is something that will help me, is when I see people make it in recovery and make it to long-term recovery and are able to help others. We have so far to go in combating this epidemic of opiate addiction and drug addiction. One of the things that's a hindrance is the stigma that is still out there. The comments that I sometimes see on social media, it's not things directed at me, but a lot of times people have no idea how much they might hurt when they make very judgmental comments about people in recovery, when I know who my daughter was and how loved she was and how important she was. That we need to realize this can happen to anybody. My daughter was involved in the church youth group. She was involved in activities in school. She was involved in the choir. She was a valuable part of society. People ask me how many kids I have, and now I don't, without hesitation, I know the answer. It's 3. I have 3 kids.